It is Wednesday evening, and you know what that means. It's time for another Auburn Family Night. It is the show where we get together and we talk about anything and everything Auburn. We'll take live callers, your comments, and your questions. This is a show that is produced by you and for you. So let's get into it right now. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay on Facebook, YouTube, every different place, permutation, reality, multiverse with which you can get this content. We appreciate you being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. As is the case every single Wednesday night since the dawn of time here on YouTube, we get together and we just hash it out on Auburn Family Night. It's one of my favorite nights of the entire week, if not my favorite night, because there is no agenda. There is no plan. There are obviously topics that are top of mind that we want to discuss, but this is about you. This is about what you want to discuss, what you want to talk about, and we'll go with what is most prevalent on your mind tonight. Before we do that, though, I'd love to encourage you to do a couple things for us. Go ahead and smash that like button. Humongous smash right now. Wherever you're watching, you can do that. You can also check in with us. Post where you're watching from your city, your state. If you're international, do that as well. Even you longtime people have been here, continue to do that for us. It's a great way to help the show get it off onto a good note, a good start tonight. That is a huge help if you can do that for us. I'll set the table for us as we get things going. Remember, this is a call-in show, so it is now available and open to anybody who wants to take advantage of it. Brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. Please check them out for a place to stay at Auburn, yes, but to have a great Auburn experience. Check out what they offer there over at the Auburn Game Day Center. Miss Tanya is one of the best Auburn people I know, and I can highly recommend her for helping you get a great place to stay and have a great Auburn experience when you're in the loveliest village on the plains. So phone lines are open now. Setting the table. Obviously, the biggest news of the day and of the week has been the potential and now official hire of DJ Durkin. We just did a live stream reaction show a couple hours ago, focusing only on that, which I know we'll still focus on that mainly right here, right now, but focusing mainly on that a few hours ago. Go check that out if you haven't. We'll talk about some of the same things here, but I wanted to make that available to people if that's what their main focus was tonight. Basketball starts in less than an hour. We will go up until that time. Once we get close to it, we'll kind of wind down and head on out of here. Post-game show after that, but we can talk about the state of the basketball program right now. And there are plenty of other topics out there too that are fresh on your minds, I'm sure. So really, you tell us where to go, what you want to talk about. Lots of fine folks hanging out with us, checking in with us. We got Thomas, we got Corey, we got Rodney checking in. Haven't seen Rodney in a little bit. Carrie as well. Haven't seen you in a minute either. So good to have you back in the fold and checking in with us on live streams. This is like a live. We can talk about anything Auburn related. So if you want me to talk about skipping rocks down by the river, I don't know if you can tie it back to Auburn. So yeah. So not every live stream we can talk about anything. Like some are focused, like our DJ Durkin one earlier today. We can talk about that again, but this is one of those nights where anything is fair game. Did y'all miss last week doing it? I missed it. We didn't do it last week because the basketball game started at 7:30, which is, 8:30 Eastern time, which is right in the middle of when we normally do this. I kind of thought about, they started 7:30 Eastern time. Yeah. So we wouldn't have been able to do it regardless. I thought about doing one early in the day, but I just don't think that most people are live and ready to do something much earlier. So that's why we stick at that. And I know there's several other content creators that have chosen to go at 8 now too. That's kind of a conflict in terms of, I know you wanted to go do both, but we kind of stay here because we've been doing it for the longest time at this time. And we feel like it's the best possible, something crawling on my foot. What is that? Is that a bug or something? We feel like that's the best possible time for everybody. Carrie asked, Is Peyton Thorne still our quarterback in 2024? Do you know the answer to this? Yes, I know the answer to everything that has been and will be, as God strikes me down with lightning bolt for saying that. No, I don't know the answer to this. Nobody knows the answer to this. Coach Freeze doesn't even know the answer to this because we're not even anywhere close to fall practice. We are just now getting geared up toward spring practices, which I'm sure will start here at the very end of February / beginning. I guess it'll be the end of February if A-Day is going to be a little bit earlier in April this year. So we will find out about just how the race for quarterback is going. But what I try to encourage people to think about and to, remember is that Peyton Thorne is the starting quarterback until proven otherwise. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are being very rude and very unsupportive in how they like to express those opinions about the quarterback. I get you didn't like what you saw last year, and I didn't like a lot of what I saw either. But I also know that the best quarterback is being put out there in terms of, a coach goes out there to win. They don't just put somebody out there to put somebody out. So if that person's being put out there, they're obviously doing more in practice and through their game time to prove that they deserve to start. So Peyton Thorne is your starting quarterback until proven otherwise. Walker White's coming in, a lot of hype around him, as was with, Robbie Ashford, as was with TJ Finley, as was with Bo Nix, as was with Jarrett Stidham, as was with, you could keep going down the list of every time the grass is greener on the other side. But yes, Peyton Thorne is your quarterback. Matt says, obviously the answer is yes until someone takes his position. It is obvious, and I understand why there's so much interest around it. As the quarterback position goes, so goes your team. And it didn't go well last year. Thus, there's a lot of scrutiny around that. It's just like the head coach gets all the scrutiny. It's all part of the equation, but he is the starting quarterback until proven otherwise. Brings up another good point. Second year in a system with better receivers will be improvement. I'm going to say this too, that in terms of the question around who's the best quarterback for Auburn, it's not so much a question of who's the best quarterback, is what can we provide any quarterback, which we haven't provided the last several seasons. If you look around, you'll see an offensive line that has been inconsistent as best, slightly improved each year for a little while now over the last 4, 5, 6 years. A wide receiver core that has not had someone truly, we've had some people step up, but truly seize it and make it their own. And those two things are really important for a quarterback to be successful, because otherwise we would have to go with someone like Robbie Ashford. And that's not a shot at Robbie Ashford, but his biggest skill set that we've seen thus far is his feet, which was a really good weapon. But the throwing was a little lacking. Not that we gave him much support to flourish in that way. So yes, second year in a system and improving, hopefully, offensive line. Maybe they'll take a really big leap this year, and then a better wide receiver core. That hopefully means more improvement from quarterback. And yes, even from Peyton Thorne. Big Simp is here. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in and being careful while you're at work. Don't get in trouble watching, but we're glad that you're here. Expecting Vandy to have that one player go off on us for no reason again. They do that quite often, don't they? They do it at their place a lot. It's in our house tonight. I think Auburn will respond. You guys can clip this and show it to me, remind me on the reaction stream later tonight when I was awfully wrong. But I do think we'll find a way to respond in after the last week. I hope we do because I'm not sure the fan base can take much more after the last week and their collective feelings on everything. Vanderbilt, we handled them at home, their home. Handling them here at Neville shouldn't be too tall of a task. At least I don't think so. College football is gone, but I'll miss it 213 more days until it starts. Is that right? I think that's a little bit short. Oh, you're talking about when college football actually starts, not the Auburn schedule, because there'll be like a week 0 as there always is now. It frustrates me that we're starting on August 31st for college football. I know it's one day. The next day is September. To me, I looked at the way the schedule, we could have avoided this dual bye week thing that everybody has this year and just started a week later in September. Give it a better chance to cool. That's all I'm saying. And look, Auburn's got 5 games at home to start off the year, which is great until you remember it's Alabama, until you remember that September is basically summer 2.0, until you remember we're all going to be sweating, burning up, sunburned for 5 straight weeks. I am not complaining, but I kind of am too. I do miss college football though. 2024 will be a growth and development year, but it will be better, especially as this year goes on, or as the season goes on. Yeah, I think it's a good thing to take the perspective, Matt, that 2024 is not the year that it cranks up a notch, but the foundation was leveled and relayed. This is about building upon that foundation and making it so that the next time there is a backslide, you don't fall as far, because it will come at some point. It will. Y'all need to prepare yourselves for that. That's the Auburn story, up and down, roller coaster ride. This is about laying upon that foundation, structures, framework to work with in the future, even if you have to remodel. And I hope that we'll have some big surprises next year. I think the schedule is a little bit favorable, but we will see how favorable it is for Auburn. Corey says, I see us having more receiving yards than rushing this year. Personally, as a fan of rushing the ball, that would make me sad. That's what I love, but it seems like the way the offenses are going, very pro style, focusing more on receivers and quarterbacks. So it wouldn't shock you that that's what they want to do, / that's what's being most successful right now. So it's not a bold prediction, Corey, but I do think that you may be onto something there. About the basketball game tonight, Big Simp says, feed Broom the freaking ball. Quit shooting when you aren't making shots. If we feed Broom, he's going to require double teams. He's good at passing the ball out of open shots. Start inside, then out. The only thing that I would add to that, sir, is remember, they know that as well. And that's why they are defending him a lot better. It's not as easy to get the ball to Janai Broom as we think, because everyone knows he's the best player. He's the best lockdown player we got. And that's for real. Yeah, listen, I can gripe all day about this August 31st day. It's awful. Homecoming should be mid-October at the earliest. I have made a case, Chris, that homecoming really needs to be truly in November. It used to be there's always this lull that led up to the Iron Bowl, to the last, Amen Corners, it used to be called, when Georgia used to be there. Not really opening up that wound again, but just there was always this lull period. It would fit perfectly there. The problem is it gets close to senior day. I think usually military appreciation day is always at the end of the season too. I can't remember the exact date for that, or when they try to coordinate all that. But to me, when homecoming comes around, it should be chilly. I don't know why. Does anybody else feel that way? To me, it should feel crisp in the air. October provides that. September, once every 1,000 years, provides that. But November, you are for sure going to have at least a 50-50 shot at having some cool weather, or just mild temperatures. So to me, November, that last rinky-dink game, as long as you can have a game after that so you can truly do senior day, that's where homecoming should be. But you want to schedule it against the rinky-dink teams, and they're always at the beginning or at the end. So that's the way it's going to be for now. I don't know. We had the perfect opportunity. Vanderbilt is in October here this year. They made us their homecoming game last year. Why can't we return the favor and do it in October? I'm just saying. That's what grinds my gears. Needs to feel like fall. I completely agree. Thomas says homecoming should be chili, not hot dogs and burgers. We need a big bonfire too. Well, it's throwing a lot of interesting things in there. We should make you coordinator of homecoming. Thomas. Carrie says Auburn has the hardest SEC schedule because we play Georgia and Alabama. That is truly tough for us every year. How unlikely sometimes we can beat those two. It used to happen a lot. Then they both went on monstrous runs. I'll say this, Auburn, yes, traditionally, and up until this year, could always say they had the toughest, if not one of the toughest, if not the toughest schedule in college football. Alabama and Georgia are still in it this year, but times are changing in the SEC. I don't think that the Georgia game is as protected as y'all think it might be. This schedule we have this year is a placeholder. Changes are supposedly coming. Enjoy it while it's here as an annual basis. We already had to say goodbye to old LSU and yes, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, which I'm fine with. But Georgia, not every year, will be really, really sad. WT, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Corey reminds us all that February 16th, baseball starts. Are you sure it's not sooner than that? Because I think they posted something today that said 10 days until, which would make that the 10th. Are you sure that's correct? I could be wrong. Maybe I read that. Maybe that was softball that posted that, but I'm pretty sure it's 10 days. Who knows? We can just figure this out. There's a thing called the Googles, Kyle. Auburn baseball schedule. Sorry for all the typing noises that you guys are probably hearing right now. 2024 baseball schedule. Corey stands correct. Eastern Kentucky series begins with the 16th, 17th, and 18th. It's going to be here before you know it, folks. Hope y'all are ready. We're going to be talking about baseball a lot here too. Hopefully we're going to have another big year. Not as a surprising year, but a big year. I think Texas A&M killed large bonfires for universities. Am I missing something, WT? What is this joke that you're trying to make? Or statement? Maybe it's not a joke. Here, I got to reach for this. Sorry. The drink was very far away. Throat's getting a little dry. I don't know what you're referring to on that. Some of you are too young to remember when Tennessee and Florida went away as a yearly tradition. Yeah. Let's see here. Tim says October is great time for homecoming. September is just hot. I agree. You're preaching to the choir over here, man. Chris says, I honestly wouldn't mind not playing Georgia every year unless it's for the SEC championship. From the history in this rivalry, it would be a severe tragedy for it not to take place every single year. So does it provide Auburn with the most challenging, if one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging schedule every year? Yes, there is a drawback to having that, but there's so much history and so much importance around that game. Auburn and Georgia are almost tied better together than Auburn and Alabama. Auburn and Alabama, it's just pure hate. And it's becoming that way with Georgia, but there are so many things that tie the two of Auburn and Georgia together that would be a travesty if it's lost. Oh, Georgia must be playing right now. Who are they playing right now in Beaton Lake? I'm not following that. Well, I watched the Super Bowl. I'm not that invested in it. And to tie it back to Auburn, Prince Tega Wannago Jr. is part of the Kansas City Chiefs as a reserve. So my understanding is he'll get a ring if they win again, which I think a lot of people assume is going to happen. I don't know. The 49ers are pretty good. But that's really about my interest level in it, is for the commercials. And I'm not even really, I'm kind of cheering for the 49ers, but not really. Kind of bored with this one. I was more so rooting for the Lions this year. Do we still have the Sonny kid? And you talking about Sonny DeShera? Sonny DeShera's been gone, man. He wasn't there last year. I miss us some Sonny DeShera. He tore it up though with the Huntsville, or the Rocket City Trash Pandas, the minor league team. So no, he was not there. But you need to know the name Ike Irish. That's the new name in batting for Auburn baseball. Chris says there was an incident at a bonfire for an A&M Texas game, I believe. Okay, I didn't know about that. Whoa, there we go. Carrie says, Kyle, I'm curious, how long have you been doing these call-in shows and talk about any topics? I mean, in some capacity, I've been doing it for 2+ years, probably longer than that. This format's probably existed for a minimum of 1.5 years and change, probably. I don't know. It's been a long time now. It's been going on for a while. So speaking of call-ins, the call-in link is available. Some of you fine folks that are here now, you should try it. Click the link up at the top. It should be pinned up there if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you have to come to YouTube to access it. But we'd love to hear some of your voices. There gives you the option to be on camera or not. You get to choose. And we'd just love to hear from some of you guys tonight. So don't be shy. Ooh, wow, it got morbid here. Google Aggie bonfire tragedy. 12 were killed, 27 injured when A&M annual bonfire collapsed in 1990. Sounds like the year the barn burned type of story. Afterwards, it was banned. Interesting. And sad, too. I don't know about this. Corey says, you've had this for a little over 2 years, Kyle. You're telling me I have? You kept track of it? Well, we've been doing YouTube stuff longer than that. And E2C Network, in its most rudimentary form, existed 10 years ago this month. So I've been doing content creation, let's just call it that, for 10+ years. YouTube stuff, we started truly utilizing it more than three-ish years ago. And these regular live streams are probably, like Corey has said, 2-ish years, something like that. Appreciate you, the kind words, Carrie. So that's kind of the look behind that. Mr. Manville, what are you doing? Dropping more super chats. Thank you so much, sir. Always much appreciated and not necessary whatsoever. Dropping in a War Eagle for everybody out there. All right, what haven't we hit yet? What do you guys want to talk about? I will say this, that this is a little pulling the curtain back for us, but I think all content creators and Auburn content creators specifically, there is this weird period that hits. Now I've been doing this for at least 3 years, analyzing YouTube stuff, that there's this weird dip in interest and involvement in Auburn content right here. And I'm just now starting to see that. You can kind of see it, like we've got a smaller group tonight. All good. Love smaller groups, frankly, because I can not like bouncing everywhere, but it's always good to have good crowds. I'm interested, like, why that always is. Is it because football is finally done? Like all the, the coaching searches are done now. Is basketball kind of in its, like, we're used to it now? It's always interesting to watch those trends. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. Yeah, Carrie, you should call in. You can join. All you gotta do is hit the link up there at YouTube. You don't have to be on camera. It can just be your voice. Give it a shot. WT says, anxious to see how the Auburn basketball team reacts tonight after back-to-back losses. I think will say a lot about the team. Definitely looking for a response. Here. I think it's necessary. A lot of people will point back to what Bruce was saying in some press conferences earlier, that y'all should have been prepared for this, that this team was a little overhyped and was having a lot of success early. Some would say maybe they peaked too soon. I think it's a little early. I think peak talk peaked too early too. It's being on the road in the SEC. There's one thing, and I know it's a very simple thing that I'll point to, and look at the record of the rest of some of the best in college basketball over the last 2 weeks or so. There's been a lot of losses, and a lot of losses on the road, and a lot of losses on the road in conference play for each individual team. It's just tough, man. This isn't football. I think the sheer panic and stuff sometimes is brought on by the casual basketball fans that are more so focused on football, and they don't know how to process the ups and downs of a basketball season. Rare is the occasion someone goes undefeated. Rare is the occasion someone gets through a season with less than 2 losses. Auburn, all its losses, Mississippi. I actually think the Mississippi State loss is a worse one than the App State loss. Losses are going to happen. You minimize them, you take care of business, you make it into your conference tournament, the NCAA tournament, and that's all that really matters. Michael checking in on Facebook. Good to see you. Maybe Hugh Freeze is the one for us. Might be here for a while. I wish good luck to our head coach and don't want them to be fired. Well, they got to perform or else they will be fired. But also we sometimes have some people that are a little bit too happy at times to fire individuals. And that's a little bit short-sighted in my opinion. But yes, I agree. Longevity is very much needed for this program right now. To me, the basketball season is as important as the football season. Not sure why fewer show up once the football season is over. Well, it's kind of the reason we started doing what we're doing, making it about the whole Auburn experience. I mean, there's a problem, not just in our fan base, but we focus on it here, of just people, their whole lives are wrapped around football. And that's why you see them being too high when the times are good for football, but really too low when the times are not as great. It's because they don't have a well-rounded Auburn experience. And that's why we try to preach about that here. We're not going to ignore, and not, you see it. We spend a lot of our time talking about football. We spend a lot of our time talking about basketball, but we're going to try to sprinkle in other topics and give you a more well-rounded experience. It's just a better way to live, to be honest with you, in this space, and probably in general as well. Everyone in the SEC looks really good this year. I wouldn't say everyone. Arkansas has really disappointed. I am honestly shocked that Arkansas has struggled the way they have. I mean, when we beat Arkansas there pretty handily, I was like, wow, this team, and we all were. You kind of look back now and you say, well, okay, we should have beaten them that bad because they're not playing well as a team. You saw how athletic they were, but they are not a good team, at least right now, the way they're playing. But yes, South Carolina is above, what most people thought they would be. Georgia is performing a little bit better than they thought they would. Ole Miss has surprised some people as well. The mainstays are there: Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida's having a decent year, I believe. So yes, the SEC is extremely strong. It would be awesome if Alabama had a pro team, and that's where the Iron Bowl would be played at every year. Well, they'd probably have to have it in Birmingham, and so they would just do it at the, what do you call it now? Not Legion Field, but they would do it at is it Alliance Stadium? No, Protective Stadium. And that's not big enough, nor does it have the setup to handle the crowds. I saw that firsthand. They are set up very well to handle UAB crowds, but not Auburn and Alabama crowds. So they'd have to build something all new. Did you go to any Auburn football games? I went to every single game except for one, and that's my goal every year, is to go to every one. Usually, I usually miss one because of a family obligation or something like that. I did miss the New Mexico State game. Thankfully, I didn't have to be there in person for that. But yeah, that one was not good. But I had a great time this last season. I miss football. I miss football season, yes, for the football, but for what it does and means for Auburn. I enjoy bringing that experience to you all. Corey says maybe we'll pick up some new gymnasts from the Olympics this summer. I doubt that. I think most of them are spoken for. It was kind of a rarity that with Suni Lee that one decided to give college a try and chose Auburn. And we're very thankful that she did. What I'd like to see is Suni come back and be and become a graduate officially, like so many others. Cam has done it. Tim Hudson has done it. Cadillac has done it. So, and several others. I'm just thinking of some of the bigger names in recent times that have, they've been made a big deal about them coming back and doing that. I'd like to see Suni do that. Right now, she is focused on winning the Olympics coming up this summer, and we will be rooting for her. I'm sure we'll be talking about her a little bit there. It'd be nice to talk about Suni again. I miss being able to talk about her and Darian Goborn and all them. It's definitely a kind of a turning the page moment for Auburn gymnastics. I live in South Carolina, but love Auburn. What are some reasons why someone would want to go to Alabama? To Alabama, the college, or to Alabama, the state? I hope you're not asking about Alabama, the college. Which one are you asking about? Alabama, the college, or Alabama, the state? Because there's no reason you should want to go to Alabama, the university. We were talking about the state. I can give you several reasons. I heard South Carolina is a great state too, but I'm partial to Alabama. I live in Georgia, but I'm from Alabama originally. So the state, well, reason number one that you come to the state of Alabama is because of Auburn. That alone is a good thing. The state is very uniquely set up. There are very few states. Georgia, you could make this case too, where you can get such a variety of like landscapes and stuff like that. Up in the very northwest corner, you'll get, northeast corner, you'll get mountains. Northwest corner, you get like all these caves and stuff like that. The shoals area, you'll get the foothills type of areas. You'll get the plains type of areas, Auburn, the flatlands, the wetlands, and then you'll get down to the beach. And it's a very thin stretch of beaches, but Auburn, the state of Alabama has got some of the best beaches. And yeah, it's just a very different, Alabama gets a bad rap from certain political angles, which are highly over politicized, but it's a great state. And we would love to be back there one day, but we're just living life in Georgia right now. Anyone know if Austin's going to the game tonight? I'd like to know before placing any bets. I don't think he is. I think he has, even as a resident, has trouble getting tickets, as we all do, without having to spend exorbitant amount of money. I don't think he's going to be there, which is a good thing for all of us, right? If you wonder what we're talking about, there's a running gag now that when Austin goes to basketball games, we lose, which he basically made the case for himself. We didn't say it. He did. Let's see. Georgia was up 13 at one point in the second and is going to lose by 9 to Alabama. Well, I'm not surprised by that, though. These 8 p.m. tip-offs need to go. SEC needs to fix that. Jake, I'm going to be honest with you from a selfish standpoint for this show that we do every single Wednesday night. I prefer these if they have to be played on a Wednesday. If they're going to play them solely on Tuesdays from now on, I'm fine with whatever time they need to go to. But Wednesdays is Auburn family night, and I do miss like last week where we had to change up and not do it. I think next week, yes, we will miss next week too because the Alabama game. That's kind of important. Y'all will not be focused on us at all doing this show during that game. I thought at one point too about going to that game or going to town, even though it's in the middle of the week. I don't think it's going to work out though. But I know why. I know why that's a pain. Eastern Coast is so late, but it is what it is. They can't move them up because you have to have 2-hour spreads. So if you start one at, 8 Eastern time, then the other one has to start at 6, which that really can't work. So it's TV and money are what dictate these things. So if you're unhappy with that, get with the TV people. Yeah. So I enjoy much earlier games too, but I want to be able to do this show. And I'm just happy we're in the middle of basketball season. I just told my wife tonight that we will be doing what I normally do during March Madness and moving my recliner up in front of the TV for at least 2 weeks, because the first round and the second round and the first and second round of that first weekend, and then the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 are really where you lock in and just watch basically everything. You watch the Final Four too and all that stuff too, but there's not like something going on all day. And there is no better weekend in sports, even than the first day of college football, than March Madness's first weekend. There's nothing better. Unbeaten Lake says, are they planning on adding seats and a video board in the north end zone, or just a video board? We don't know yet, because it hasn't even been officially approved yet. We talked about it on this week's show. I hope y'all listen to the Auburn podcast, the Auburn Experience podcast, which is our main show. If you haven't, go subscribe on YouTube. YouTube, but anywhere to listen to the audio version of it too. And we know that they are voting on this proposal this Friday. When that comes out, most people are expecting them to say yes. It's just kind of like a preliminary thing. But I would imagine after the approval process is done, we will probably several months later find out what exactly you're going to do, probably in like a video package or something like that. I don't know. I would hope so, that we would find a way to add some seats. But my fear is if we add just a few to start off with, it's going to make it hard to add more that we maybe want more of later down the road. I don't know. To me, it feels like just a scoreboard, video board fix than anything else. Carrie asks, have I ever been to the national championships? You're talking about Auburn's national championships. Well, one happened when I wasn't alive, and two have happened, the win and then the loss happened during my lifetime. I almost made it out to Pasadena for the loss to Florida State. I couldn't. I was a poor college kid, and I did not win the ticket lottery to Arizona. But you can bet your bottom that if I had got the ticket lottery that year, I would have found a way out to Arizona, which would have been difficult because we had some rough weather that day. Really rough weather. As I've gotten older, I have found myself enjoying college basketball season more than football. That was before Bruce even got to Auburn. I think here's how I will put it to you. Football will always be the thing that I'm most interested in terms of the whole package. But I have a background as a basketball player. I actually was on a college basketball team for 1 year as a walk-on, AUM. And I just love, there's a very cerebral thing that I connect with the sport. And to me, that's what draws me in and makes me appreciate the pageantry of a March Madness, basically. And so it's a balancing act. Football will always be king, but gosh, I love college basketball so much. Thank you, All Hydraulics. Love the vibe of the show. No one else like it. Calm and like talking to friends. Well, you've missed some of our other rowdy nights. What was it? Was it last? I can't remember. Maybe it was after the Mississippi State lost this Saturday. I actually had to ban someone because I was tired of their foolishness. Not only did they act like a fool here, but once they realized that they were being ignored here, they chose to come find us on social media and continue the mess. And I said, all right, that's it. So they were banned across all the things. So it is what it is. But I appreciate you saying that. I hope you like the vibe here, but we try to give a spicier vibe every now and again. and I hope you guys enjoy the format. All right, we'll get back to some of your comments and questions. The War Duster, but Dustbuster one here in a minute. But we got our first caller tonight. Let's go and say hello to him. You know him, you love him, Mr. Thomas Manville in the man cave. What's going on?
How y'all doing this evening?
Doing well, sir. What you got on your mind tonight?
How do you personally feel about DJ Durkin as the hire? I mean, I know you covered it a little bit earlier, but how you?
I'm good with it. I think it checks the boxes in a lot of areas that are beneficial to us. I also, I think there's a appropriate amount of concern with someone's past to be worried about, but it's how you choose to go about expressing that concern or / being a holier than thou person that I think is a balance people need to learn a little bit more. So to me, I think it checks enough boxes that the risk is highly worth it. And look, a lot of people were kind of underwhelmed with Hugh Freeze's offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator hires last year. This is kind of that hype hire, because it's a big name for some bad reasons, but for other reasons, football reasons, DJ Durkin is a big name in college football, defense, recruiting. And so you kind of understand why the decision was made, why the reward is worth the risk. That's kind of where does that make sense? Did I ride the fence too much?
No. That makes good sense to me. I mean, he was wanted by other programs.
Yeah.
He really was. They brought in Charles Kelly. You've still got Crime Dog, Wesley McGriff back there in the secondary. Garrett on the defensive line. I mean, he's built a staff of guys that know how to coach and know how to recruit. He's done it on the offensive side as well. I mean, I think it's a smart hire. I mean, like I said last week, Charles Kelly was labeled as a co-defensive coordinator, so there was clearly going to be somebody else coming in. So why worry about it a ton if they know they're going to bring somebody in, or just go ahead and level him up to just making him the DC? He's a good recruiter. Like I said a minute ago, you got Crime Dog that's all secondary, and then you got Charles Kelly that's worked a lot with secondary and a lot with linebackers. And now you bring in Durkin that's worked a lot with linebackers and a lot with the defensive line. And all three of these guys have had success before. So it stands to reason that they should be able to put together a real stout defense all working together.
Yeah. And you also include Josh Aldridge and Jeremy Garrett, who are Hughes guys. So you've got a combination of Hughes guys, and you got a combination of big name guys, well established and respected in the sense that not that Aldridge and Garrett aren't respected, but just the names are bigger with those things that you brought up for a variety of reasons. So to me, and I was talking about this on the stream we did earlier, specifically reacting to the official announcement that Durkin was hired. The win isn't so much Durkin himself, but what it does for the staff, for me. And even as we were talking about it on that stream, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. Like, not that Ron Roberts didn't make a lot of sense last year. We were all just starting over. But to me, I was like, you know what? I'm on board with this. The more I think about where it fills needs and stuff for Hugh, for the defense, I'm good with it. That's kind of how I'm approaching this with a higher than cautious optimism. I'm starting to see that optimism creep up for me.
Right. And there's a checkered past with a good many coaches in the sport.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a 100% squeaky clean coach in the game of football right now. But one of the Crane boys, I saw something earlier. I can't remember if Jacob Blaine. He made the point that Saban has been a rehabilitation clinic for coaches that have messed up, and nobody bats an eye. He's giving them and he's helping them get further into sport. So there's no reason that can't happen somewhere else. And I'm not saying they're trying to follow a model. They're not trying to just walk in his footsteps here. But that's the game of football. That's a job. That happens in many different jobs, and no matter what kind of business you're in, but it's a business. It's college athletics. There's a lot of money tied up in it. So go get the guy who knows what he's doing. And hey, did you learn from your mistakes? Yes, I did. Great, bring him in. If he doesn't, it's going to show, and they'll get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. Let the person work themselves out of the position. What you have is a contingency of people, and whether this is about football or whatever have you, that like to act holier than thou. And it's funny because a lot of times Christians get accused of this, but a lot of times in this kind of category, it's the people who I've seen very openly express non-Christian um, beliefs and things like that, that are the least kind and forgiving to someone with past. And to me, I just find that as very oxymoronic. And to me, folks, let people grow and change. Give them the grace and the opportunity to. That's been my biggest thing, is that we'll act holier than thou while accusing others to be holier than thou, but not give the same benefit to that you've been given in other areas of your life. It's a big conversation that we've talked about a lot, but I just kind of scratch my head at some of the reactions that I've seen, and I've had some conversations with people that I've just said, you've been offered a lot. I know you've been offered a lot of forgiveness. What makes you think you're allowed to not offer that to someone else? And they've got no answer for that. Anyway, so here, real quick, not to change subjects real fast, but I saw this pop up for you. Where'd you get the fan cave sign?
Oh, that one.
Yep.
It was a gift. But if I had to guess, it probably came from Tiger Pride, Bama Fever, one of the stores around the Birmingham area.
I was gonna ask if that was the location of I've seen that one before, and that was gonna be my guess. Either that or what's the other big chain? That gosh, there's another big chain. It's like College Spirit or something like that I've seen like in malls and stuff, that you see that type of. It's like reproduced, or they supply a lot of those type of vendors supply to those type of stores. So it's a cool sign. I've seen it and some other things. It looks very nice. On that, is that a real brick wall behind you, or is that like a faux brick wall? I'm gonna peel the curtain back on your set.
I'm in the sunroom that's been the house. The house has been renovated, and it's got a closed-in sunroom instead of a screened-in porch. So,
that sounds nice.
It ain't bad in the wintertime, let me tell you.
I kind of like that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little jealous of you. I got my nice little setup up here, but I would kill for a screened-in porch down there, especially to watch football games on. If you got a TV hookup out there. Side story: my mother-in-law just recently moved up to our area, and she's got this really nice back porch. It's not screened in yet, but the day she bought it, we're like, we're screening this bad boy in. They've already got a TV hookup out there. I said, we are watching some football games out here. Like, you were not going to be able to get rid of me. So
I didn't watch a game indoors all year long.
Oh man, there's something about football being watched outdoors. We did a tailgate a long time ago. It was an E2C tailgate, but we kind of joined with someone else because it was just easier to do that way. And I didn't even go to the game. I just watched from the TV, out there. And you hear the screaming in the background from the stadium and stuff like that. There was something about that was just extra fun, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. So I don't know if it's because I was in Auburn, but there's something about being outside watching football, even if you're in a screened-in porch or whatever, that just feels right, I think.
Yeah, man, it's the best. Like, football's an outside sport, man. Like, you need to be at the game as much as you can, even if you're watching on TV, man. Throw the windows open. Let's have a good time.
And see, here's the thing. So, like, I tell people that one of my dreams is to go to the Minnesota, Wisconsin game in the snow, but I can't because it's the same day always as the Iron Bowl. But I'd love to be at that. There's something about that element that just intrigues me and feels football. And so, kind of like you're talking about, it's meant to be played outside. You're meant to be in the elements with the thing. There's been fewer more awesome moments in Auburn history than when I was a student during the West Virginia rain game and just ripping my shirt off and just going running around as a student in there. Just imagine that, folks, as you're seeing this not picturesque, view, running around with a shirt off in the stadium. Sorry to put that image in everybody's head. All right. They want to know about O-line, D-line for next season from you. Go.
Start with the O-line. I think it's going to be the transfer from Mississippi State at left tackle. What's his name? Percy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he'll be left tackle.
That's a big boy.
That's a large human being, and he's got, like I've said 100 times, he habitually escorts people out the club. So put him at left tackle. Let him protect the quarterback's blind side. That's a lot of arm length right there. That's hard to get around unless you go underneath him. So to be tall, he'll have to work. And I've got faith that Coach Thornton can get him where he needs to be. I think Dylan Wade will slide from left tackle to left guard. Clearly, Connor Lew is going to be your starting center.
Yep.
Because he's just a dog. He's just got it in him. I would assume that as a small child, he was, just toting folks around. He just does that. That right guard spot, though, is open. I could see Jaden Muskrat sliding in there.
Yeah.
I think we just kind of have to wait and see what happens during spring and especially the spring transfer portal for maybe another lineman or two, maybe three. I've seen a lot of people talk good things. Everybody's hearing good things about Tyler. I think it's Tyler Smith.
Yep.
I think he can be your right tackle. I really do. Unless there's some kind of crazy something that happens in the portal. But if your name keeps coming up, you're doing something right. D-line, I think Durkin's scheme, because he runs, and Bubba and the old man mentioned it earlier, it's a modified 4-2-5, 4 down, 2 linebackers, 5 DBs. Sometimes he'll go with sometimes he will go with 3 down linemen and maybe a 4th linebacker that can walk down that jack position that we watched this year. The Jalen McLeods. It just depends on who can fill that spot if it needs to be a coverage role. Is it going to be McLeod? Is it going to be one of these young freshmen that's really, really, really good? Because we got a pretty stacked linebacker room coming into the year. But D-line, I'm optimistic, but I think we're missing that dude. I don't think we have that dude on the defensive line. And I'd like it even better if we had 2 of these guys that are just like, you got to double this guy. You've got to look at him. You got to know what he's doing, or we're gonna get ate up. And it just depends on what kind of motor they got when they get up there.
Yeah.
It depends on the scheme. It depends on the down and distance. 3rd and 5 is a lot different than 3rd and 10. So you got to do different things in your defensive scheme. That kind of leads back to why I'm so excited about us having Durkin, Kelly, Garrett, Aldridge, and Crime Dog in there. But like, they know the levels of the defense. Each level has a certain job to do. Yeah. The offensive line is the offensive line. The defensive line has to set the tone and let everybody else do what they need to do. Right. Sometimes you're rushing the passer. Sometimes you're keeping somebody from getting to a linebacker to block him because that guy's got an opportunity to make a play.
Yeah.
It's kind of up in the air.
So let me ask you this, and I mentioned this in our discussion about Durkin and our other live stream. Do you foresee if everything goes according to plan, Durkin stay, everything goes well with that, maybe stays 2 or 3 years, would you say Auburn kind of moves away from being a defensive back not because they're not trying, but because they're having more success? Linebacker, front 7. I mean, what do you think about that?
No, I would say it doesn't really hinge on Durkin. I would say it hinges on McGriff and Charles Kelly, how DPU goes.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got a good history of it, so that's going to play a factor in people going, hey man, they've been putting folks in the league. These guys are not going into the league and then leaving after 2 years or getting cut. These guys are playing in Super Bowls. These guys are playing in championships, and Tampa Bay's got 2 Auburn defensive backs starting on either side of the field. Now, are they in the Super Bowl? No, that's fine. But
they were 2 years ago.
Well, a couple years ago. I don't mind plucking that title from LSU at all.
I know.
Because they had a string of really good ones. It just it's going to be an up and down thing on the defense, depending on how their scheme runs. Because if you're a really, really heavy blitz team, you're going to bring in some different guys that are not. You're going to bring in coverage guys no matter what. You have to. That's their job. But it just depends on your scheme. But I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I hope not, because I've really enjoyed that being kind of a shockingly thing that began under Malzahn, maintained even through Harsin into Freeze. And it's just been nice to know every year there's somebody going into the NFL, like you said, finding either, if not a starting position, a mainstay position on a team and is relevant to the outcome of the NFL season. So hopefully that continues. We are getting close to basketball game time, so we're going to have to say goodbye. But thank you for stopping in and hanging out with us.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. As always, War Eagle, Roll Green Wave. Y'all have a good night.
War Eagle, buddy. All right, we've got a few more minutes here, so we're not going to take any more phone calls just because, hey, basketball's about to begin, folks, and I know that's where your focus is. So, but I can take final comments and questions, get them in now. I see some of them we'll try to address rapid fire here at the end. Let me give you the rundown of what to expect next. You've heard me talk about it. You've heard me mention it. Tonight, after the basketball game, be back here. Usually starts right after the game, maybe a minute or two, give or take, as I kind of get set up. Auburn Vanderbilt reaction show. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully we're celebrating. Hope to see you there. It's a late one, so if you can't be there live, watch the replay. If you can't join us for that one, but join us for the Ole Miss one this Saturday, that's your next scheduled live stream. And then we also have this Sunday, the Auburn Experience live recording of episode 65 for that podcast, our main podcast. Don't miss that as well. 9 Eastern time on Sunday evening. But one more thing, I didn't have time to get a card ready for you guys. Tomorrow night, we're actually going to do a live stream too. Most of you know Clint Richardson of the Auburn Uniform Database. He has just come out with a website documenting Auburn history, something that we think needs to be covered more. And he's been doing a account called Today in Auburn History, now turning into a website. He's going to talk about that with us, do a walkthrough with a lot of you guys, talk about what he's done, what the vision is for it, and hope you can join us for that. And of course, when Clint's here, he'll take questions and comments about all the things: Auburn history, Auburn aesthetics, Auburn uniforms. You got it. So join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Rapid fire here. Let's see what you guys were talking about. What made McGriff stay at Auburn? I think there was a rumor out there that he wanted to retire at Auburn. And there was also a rumor that there was some discontent amongst the defensive staff, aka Roberts and McGriff. I don't know that for a fact. I think there was some message board discussions about that. Maybe it was true. And it's hard to ignore that he left. Ron Roberts leaves, he comes back. So it's kind of one of those questions where there's smoke, there's fire, but to what degree? There seems to be a little bit of extra smoke on that one. So that's kind of where I would lean. The 2021 basketball team was great. What a great time that was too. What else haven't we talked about from y'all's commentary tonight? I think we've hit the majority of them. Yes, Thomas is always a great person to have on the show. We enjoy hearing from him and his take on all things Auburn, but especially football and offensive line and stuff like that. So, final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. This is your time. Get them in now. Hope to see you after the game tonight. Anybody got a score prediction for tonight? Want to drop it on the way out? That way we can tell you if you were right or wrong. I'll say Auburn wins by 10 points tonight. I'm gonna predict 10-point win tonight, but only because we shoot free throws at the end and it gets up to 10. I hope what you see tonight is an Auburn response like none other. Chris says 80-65. Hope so. When does the fishing squad hit the pond? I don't know. We do have a championship fishing program at Auburn, not obviously NCAA sanctioned, but it is still something they do and we excel at. I don't know when they hit the pond. I'm not a big fisherman, so I can't really fill you in on that one. But we love to talk about it when we know that there's something going on with it, just like we do all things Auburn. All right, it is 8:58, folks. We're going to call it a night and call it a show. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope to see you tonight after the basketball game. If not, I hope to see you tomorrow, 8 p.m., me and Clint, you guys and ladies, for Auburn history discussion. Saturday, post-game show. Sunday, 9 Eastern time, live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. Y'all got a lot to look forward to this week, and we ain't done yet, as Trevon Reed would say. By the way, shout out to that man. Sad he's gone. Thanks for everybody for hanging out with us. Smash that like button on the way out. Until we talk to you again, of course. Thanks for being here. And War Eagle.